It's a lot of technology we're both juggling on stage. All right, question number one. Let's ask the basic question. Will English be the dominant language with which technologists speak to machines?
I was talking to somebody and I said that for the next 2 years, at least for 2024, 2025, the top two languages, coding languages, is going to be English and English. Because I think a lot of coding, while we are seeing emergence of, I started code. I don't know how many of you code here. I never coded for the last 20, 25 years, but I started coding just in the last couple of months because now I can do a whole lot of work with sort of basic code and then emerge and sort of make it better. So I think coding overall, while languages are important, what we are seeing as an emergence is it's getting more English language trained, and you can sort of talk in vernacular language, and you can, if you know the logic really well, and therefore the question back for most of the developers is, therefore, what skill should one have? Because if everybody can code English, the beauty of that is that now for every domain expert, technology has come on the doorsteps. I think today you can code, managing all the calendar invites and sort of structure it in a meaningful manner, depending upon what your sort of choices are. So if all of us have access to technology in general gets democratized, which means that as a developer today, because I think we train a lot of developers and help them in moving up in the journey and career. For a lot of developers today, understanding of domain becomes very critical. I think previous panel spoke about that if you know the domain, you'll be able to do much better than if you just know the technical aspect and sort of coding, so on and so forth. Number two, you need to be creative about problem solving and solutioning. Versus just sort of structuring the entire code, because a lot of things are manual, which is getting sort of completely redundant overall. So I feel excited about the fact that now coding will get far more productive. I know in the previous panel somebody mentioned that one of the companies let go of 50 developers. That again will happen in different forms across different companies. I think we are seeing in the IT sector, there's growth of, the net hire is not increasing, revenues are pretty much flattish, but I guess everybody has been speaking about the IT services is dead for the last 30 years, but they have always continued to grow and sort of surprise us. So I do believe that skills will change, English will remain, but knowing the domain, knowing the UX, knowing the customer will matter a lot more.
Mayank, your views on OpenAI's Strawberry project and how does reinforcement learning make a difference to output?
I see it's a very technical thing, so I'll not go too much into technicalities of sort of what the model does. But the good part is it's now, they use the word quote unquote reasoning. So now the answer is not coming with, so generally the GPTs and the LLMs are built in a manner that if you speak 6 words, it will predict the 7th word or the 8th word or the 9th word, and they will finish the sentence from that context. So it goes back a lot with what input has been given in the training aspect to then inference and figure out what the next stages are. In that context, I feel that this new model, which is built on reasoning, which means that if I say something, they will reason it out, and then they will reason it out, and then they will bring it out, is an interesting sort of development, and it makes the model far more smarter. Now, the challenge that happens in the journey is that there are 2 ways in which energy consumption happens in the modeling, right? There's a energy consumption at the training stage, and there's energy consumption at the inferencing stage. I guess the reinforcement learning, technically speaking, helps at least reduce the energy consumption on the inferencing stage. And as the world is moving more towards inferencing, I do see this approach being more effective, and multiple companies will build small tools on top of this reasoning model and continue to sort of innovate in the AI space.
Since you brought up the topic of LLMs, the question is LLM only a game for the extremely large players? Should anybody in this room even bother building an LLM, or has all the value been taken away by the top 2 or 3 players?
No, so I'll maybe tweak this thing slightly differently. So when LLMs come in, so all of us feel as founders and entrepreneurs that, look, do I need to do anything in my own? Because 2 months later, 3 months later, the new version will come and will sort of solve the problem altogether. I think I personally feel this is a settled topic, that LLMs will not take away all the values. There are going to be multiple LLMs. I'm not answering the question, do we need to build LLMs or not? That's a very different sort of altogether question, but LLMs will not take away all the value. And if you look back in the history, when the computers were first coming on board, everybody said that if you own browsers, you will take away all the value. So Netscape became very big. Internet Explorer came in. So Safari came in. Sort of Firefox came in with their sort of different platforms for browsing. But people build great application on top of that. So you build the application of Yahoo, Google, Facebook, and sort of started doing something there. Then came mobile. And in the mobile phone ecosystem, everybody said if you own mobile phones or if you own the Play Store, all the values will go there. But you saw what happened in the last sort of 10, 15 years. People who build application on top of mobile phones have taken away value as well. So the Ubers, the Zomatos, the Swiggis of the world have built, upGrad has been a beneficiary of the mobile phone revolution, and then we build on top of the mobile phone infrastructure. And I think today, I don't believe there's going to be one or two LLMs. I feel that there are going to be 4, 5, 10 different LLMs for different sort of use cases. But somebody who can build, Priyank said that point, an application on top of that, there is value to be made there. So as entrepreneur and anybody sort of in the early journey, if you can build an application layer on top, there are interesting value. Of course, there is an infrastructure stack and so on and so forth, the 4 stack that sort of Priyank spoke about in the previous one. But building application has value. I think we're moving away in the system. Just the last point for me is that 2 generations back, we used to type. Last generation, we started clicking. In the next generation, we'll start speaking. To buy something or to sort of transact something. And I think that shift is going to happen, and therefore the kind of talent that people may need may mean that it's more conversational topic. If you want to buy a pink tie, you may not click, click, click and then purchase. You may just say, I want to buy a pink tie, what are the options that I have?
No, I'll go to a physical store and choose from 50 available options.
Yeah, so maybe that is another way of sort of doing that. So I think it's an interesting way in which UX will change. Maybe websites don't remain, maybe apps don't remain, maybe it's a lot more conversational, but that's a world to be seen and sort of to be traversed across.
Okay, a good point, Mayank, that LLMs won't take away all the value, and the browser comparison is a very interesting comparison. Let's talk about upGrad Enterprise now. What role can platforms like yours play in upskilling India's workforce for the future? You've spoken, I think, recently about building a learning suite for GCCs in India.
Yeah, so I think this is where we get into the little, so I'll not take too much time because we get into the marketing side of it, but I'll just quickly run away.
A little plug is good.
No, I may quickly sort of give you the input that, so in the entire stack of learning, right, I mean, I think AI is one of the biggest sort of area that we are seeing emerging. And in general, what we are seeing here is that while there's a lot of craze about AI at the tool level, people want to learn the tools, people want to learn the sort of technology, so on and so forth. The biggest challenge that we are seeing right now is at the top level. So at the topmost level across enterprises, that AI mindset has not developed. So if I look at the sort of pyramid structure, that the top leadership level needs to focus a lot on creating a mindset around AI. How do I use AI? What's the value of AI? What's the value of Gen AI, LLM, so on and so forth. Once that mindset gets created, and that's one place where we see the biggest gap today in the Indian enterprises, and upGrad Enterprise is focusing on solving for that. Once you know the sort of the entire aspect of what's the mindset needed, then you need N-1 level to know the applications needed for solving for the use cases. So let's take an example of a large bank. If you understand the mindset that AI can solve a lot of productivity enhancement tools, the next level needs to figure out how do I develop application and what kind of application will solve for it. So if I'm getting 100,000 calls a day, how do I solve 30,000 calls using AI, and the remaining 70,000 calls I pass it on to something else. So that's the application aspect that becomes very important. And then comes the tools and the technology aspect, which is where today a lot more engagement that we are seeing across enterprises on the tools and sort of technology, not enough on application and very little on mindset. I think that pyramid has to flip and a lot more focus has to go on the mindset aspect.
Application then
and tools. Yeah, so we'll call it MAT or whatever that you want to sort of call it.
All right, that's a good acronym. Mayank, I see we have 50 seconds left. I've never coded in my life, right? I've never understood coding.
You can start today.
We can start
right after this.
Can I go down to a no-code, low-code platform and train myself in how to be a coder?
100%. I think today you can go to a Claude or you can go to GitHub and sort of Copilot. You can start coding. If you don't have a good laptop or a good sort of IE, you can get a SaaS-based IE also to sort of IDE to sort of work there. But today you can write saying, I get I want to manage my expenses. I want to know how much I spend every day, how much I'm sort of earning every day, and basis that, give me a tool. They will give you the full code in 30 seconds. That's where the beauty of the ecosystem has come to.
Should coders in the audience, the ones who raise their hands, be a bit worried about this? If a person
No,
like
no, I
me
think I mean,
can
everybody
write
said
code with...
it is democratizing of technology, but that does not take away the aspect of creativity, problem solving, and the domain expertise. You need to be a domain expert today. Being a domain expert, a customer understanding matters a lot more than anything else. But I'll just leave with one last point on this one, that with whatever is happening, there are a lot of folks that I'm realizing now that coming into a chasm area. So anybody in the zone of, let's say, 40, 50 lakh to 70, 80 lakh, or whatever, 30 to 60, 70, 80 lakh, they are coming in an interesting trap that they have to prove every time that